The Way of Shadows by Brent Weeks, Chapter 41. What are you doing? Master Blint backhanded Kyler soundly. He stood, furious, the illusionary features of Hugh Gibbet melting away like smoke. Kyler staggered to his feet, his head still spinning and his ears ringing. I had to. You were gone. Gone planning this, Blint whispered hoarsely. Gone planning this. Never mind now. We've got 3 minutes until the guard's next round. He nudged Elaine's limp form with his toe. That one's still alive, Durzo Blint said. Kill her. Then go find the Kakari while I fix Deader. We'll discuss your punishment later. Too late. You killed the Duchess? Kyler asked, rubbing his shoulder where the door had hit him when Durzo burst in. The Deader was the prince. Someone else got there first. Boots were clomping up the stairs. Durzo unsheathed retribution and checked the hallway. Gods, the prince. Kyler looked at the unconscious girl. Her innocence was irrelevant. Even if he didn't kill her, they'd think she'd helped steal the Kakari and kill the prince. Kyler! Kyler looked up, dazed. It was all like a bad dream. It couldn't be happening. I already... He held out the pouch limply. Scowling, Durzo snatched it away from him and turned it over. The globe of edges fell into his hand. Damn. Just what I thought, he said. What? Kyler asked, but Durzo wasn't in any mood to answer questions. Did the girl see your face? Kyler's silence was enough. Take care of her, Kyler. That's not a request. It's an order. Kill her. Thick, white scars crisscrossed what had once been a beautiful face. Her eyes were swelling, blackened, and that was as much Kyler's fault as the 10-year-old scars were. Love is a noose, Blint had told him when he'd begun his apprenticeship a decade ago. No, Kyler said. Durzo looked back. What did you say? Black blood dribbled from down retribution, pooling on the floor. There was still time to stop, time to obey and live. But if he let Elaine die, Kyler would be lost in shadow forever. I won't kill her, and I won't let you. I'm sorry, Master. Do you have any idea what that means? Durzo snapped. Who is this girl that she's worth being hunted for the rest of her short... He stopped. She's doll girl. Yes, Master, I'm sorry. By the night angels, I don't want apologies. I want obedient... Durzo held up a finger for silence. The footfalls were close now. Durzo threw open the door and blurred into the hallway, inhumanly fast, retribution flashing silver in the low light. The guard fell in two thumps. It was Stumpy, the older guard who'd frisked Kyler so gingerly when he'd cased the estate this morning. The hall lantern behind Durzo swaddled Darkness's favorite child in shadow, casting his form over Kyler's and making his face invisible. Silhouetted, black blood dripping from the tip of retribution. Drip, drip. Durzo's voice strained like bending steel. Kyler, this is your last chance. Yes, Kyler said, his bullock dagger hissing against its scabbard as he turned to face the man who'd raised him, who'd been more than a father to him. It is. There was the sound of something metallic rolling across marble. It came towards Kyler. He raised a hand and felt the Kakari slap into his outstretched palm. He turned his hand over and saw the Kakari burning a brilliant, incandescent blue. It was stuck to his palm. As he looked, ruins began burning on the surface of the globe. They shifted, changed, as if trying to speak to him. Blue light bathed his face, and he could see through the Kakari. It was sucking blood from the cut in his palm. He looked up and saw dismay on Master Blint's face. No, no, it's mine! Blint yelled. The Kakari pulled like black oil in an instant. Blue light exploded like a supernova. Then the pain came. The cold in Kyler's hand became pressure. It felt like his hand was splitting apart. Staring at the now uniformly burning puddle on his hand with horror, Kyler saw that it was shrinking. It was pushing itself into his hand. Kyler felt the Kakari enter his blood. Every vein bulged and contorted, freezing as the Kakari passed through him. He didn't know how long it lasted. He sweated and shivered and sweated coldly. Gradually, the cold faded from his limbs. More gradually still, warmth replaced it. Perhaps seconds, perhaps half an hour. Kyler found himself on the floor. Oddly, he felt good. Even face down on stone, he felt good, complete, like a gap had been bridged, a hole had been filled. I'm a Kakarifer. I was born for this. Then he remembered. He looked up. From the look of frozen horror on Durzo's face, it all must have taken only seconds. Kyler jumped to his feet, feeling stronger, healthier, more full of energy than he could ever remember. The look on Durzo's face wasn't anger. It was grief. Bereavement. Kyler slowly turned his hand over. The skin was still cut on his palm, but it wasn't bleeding anymore. The Kakari had seemed to push into... No, it couldn't have. From every pore of his hand, black poured out like sweat. It congealed. In a moment, the Kikari rested in his palm. A strange glee filled Kyler. Fear followed. He wasn't sure the glee was all his own. It was as if the Kikari were happy to have found him. He looked back to Durzo, feeling stupid, so far out of his depth he didn't know how to act. It was then he realized how clearly he could see Durzo's face. The man still stood in the hallway, the lantern behind him. A moment before the Kikari, his face had been all but invisible. Kyler could still see the shadows falling on the floor where Durzo blocked the light, but he could see through them. It was like looking through glass. You could tell the glass was there, but it didn't impede your vision. Kyler glanced around Elaine's little room and saw that the same applied to everything he looked at. The darkness welcomed his eyes now. His eyes were sharper, clearer. He could see further, could see the castle across the river as if it were high noon. I have to have the Kikari, Durzo said. If he doesn't get it, he'll kill my daughter. Night angels have mercy, Kyler. What have you done? I didn't do anything, Kyler said. He held the Kikari out. Take it. You can have it. Get your daughter back. Durzo took it from him. He stared into Kyler's eyes, his voice sorrowful. You bonded it. It bonds for life, Kyler. Your talent will work now, whether you're holding it or not. But its other powers won't work for anyone else until you're dead. There was a sound of feet running up the stairs. Someone must have heard Durzo's yell. Kyler had to go now. The import of Durzo's words were barely beginning to register. Durzo turned to face whoever was coming up the steps, and the prophet's words echoed in Kyler's ears. If you don't kill Durzo Blint tomorrow, Kalidor will take Sonaria. If you don't kill him by the day after that, everyone you love will die. If you do the right thing once, it will cost you years of guilt. If you do the right thing twice, it will cost you your life. The bullock dagger was in his hand. Durzo's back was turned. Kyler could end it now. Not even Durzo's reflexes could stop him when Kyler was this close. It would mean stopping an invasion, saving everyone he loved. Surely that meant he held Elaine's life in his hands right now. Logan's, maybe the Drake's. Maybe the whole invasion hinged on this. Maybe hundreds or thousands of lives were balanced now on the point of his dagger. A quick, painless cut, and Durzo would die. Hadn't he said that life was empty, worthless, meaningless, cheap? He wouldn't be losing anything of value when he lost his life. He'd sworn that. Durzo had said it and more, but Kyler had never really believed him. Mama Kay had already stabbed Durzo in the back with her lies. Kyler couldn't do it with his hands. The moment took on a startling clarity. It froze like a diamond and rotated before his eyes, every faucet gleaming, features shearing off and sparkling. Kyler looked from Elaine on his right hand to Durzo on his left. From Durzo to Elaine, Elaine to Durzo. There was his choice, and their futures. He could kill Elaine, the woman he loved, or he could kill Durzo, who had raised him as a son. In every faucet this truth glared pitilessly. If one lived, the other must die. No, Kyler said. Master, do it. Kill me. Durzo looked at him as if he couldn't believe his ears. She's only seen me. She won't be a threat to anyone if I'm dead. You can take the Kikari and save your daughter. Blint's eyes filled with a look Kyler had never seen before. The hard, jagged cast of his master's face seemed to ease, and it made him seem a different man. Not old and tired and worn, but younger, a man more like Kyler than Kyler had ever imagined Blint could look. Durzo blinked as bottomless wells of grief threatened to spill over into tears. He shook his head. Just go, son. Kyler wanted to go. He wanted to run away, but he was right. It was the only way. He stood there, frozen, but not with indecision. He was just praying that Durzo would act before he lost his courage. What am I saying? I don't want to die. I want to live. I want to take Elaine out of here. I want to... The door to the Duke's chambers opened, and the blood-spattered Duchess stumbled out, screaming, Assassin! Assassin! He killed the prince! Durzo acted instantly. He slammed into Kyler, driving them both into Elaine's room. It took all of Kyler's presence of mind not to trample Elaine, but Durzo was still moving. He had a hold of Kyler's cloak and was swinging him with the surprising speed and force of his talent. Kyler exploded through the window and out into the night. By the grace of the god, or his cruelty, or sheer dumb luck, or Durzo's preternatural skills, Kyler landed squarely in the center of a hedge. He crashed through it, rolling out of control, and popped out onto the ground. It was ridiculous. Nothing was broken. Nothing was sprained. He didn't even get a scratch. He looked up and saw guests craning their heads to the balcony, where recently he'd kissed Sarah, but they were on the other side of lamps and couldn't make him out. Then the screaming from inside was taken up by others, women's voices and men's. Orders were being shouted, and armed men were running, clanking, and ringing in their chainmail. Kyler looked up at the second story with his heart in his throat. He didn't know whether to curse or laugh. The decision was out of his hands now. He was alive, and it felt good. There was nothing else to do. Kyler jogged to the estate's garden gate, broke the lock, and disappeared into the night.